Whoa. So, so today we are going to be learning quadratic equations. So, what is a quadratic equation? That is the question. Quadratic equation is um, an equation with x squared. The unknown is squared. So, if you looky here, a common quadratic equation is this one. How can you tell that's quadratic? It has x squared. Now, usually this is equal to 0, but if you're graphing, then it's going to be equal to y. So how are we to solve this? That is the question. So how are you going to solve this? There's two methods. I'm going to teach you first the factorizing method. So in the factorizing method, you basically just factorize it into these here two brackets. Now, these two brackets, it's going to be, how are you going to find these? You need to find something which adds up to this and multiplies to this. And since it's negative 2 here, um, what multiplies to negative 2? You need to list that out first. Negative 2, negative 2, 2, and negative 1. There's negative 1, 2, negative 2, and 1. So many options. So what adds to this? You tell me. The correct answer was 2 and negative 1. So if there's nothing in front of the x, no coefficient, then what we're going to do is x plus 2 and x minus 1, because those are the numbers that are important, equal to 0. Now, what this does is it allows only one of these at a time to be equal to 0. So what I'm saying is that basically you can divide it, you can move this term over here, because that'll be division and it'll be equal to 0. So you'll be left with x plus 2 is equal to 0. Now this is extremely easy. Just x equal to negative 2. But what about this one? You did this, what about that? You just do it again, reverse it. So now you take this one over here, and now x minus 1 is equal to 0. So x is equal to 1. If you're a newbie, if you've only done linear algebra so far, this might be confusing. Which one is it? X negative 2 or x minus 1? The answer is that it's both. So if we look back to our here equation, um let's plug in negative 2. If x equals to negative 2, we need to put it in. So we get negative 2 squared, 4. Negative 2, because x is 2, negative 2 is 0. So that's correct. And with x equal to 1, we can plug it in. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. Correct. Boom. You just solved the equation. Now we can erase all of this. Now let's have a go yourself. I'll give you all an easy one. So how are you going to do this? That is the question. Take some time. Take your time. Oh yeah, my bad. Equal to 0. Okay, so we're going to factorize this. What multiplies to this but adds to this? If we want to, you can list out the factors of 3, 1, and 3, and those add to this. For many numbers, it's not going to be that simple. So, x plus 3, x plus 1. Now, that's equal to 0. So now we can do the division thing, and then we end up with x equal to negative 3 and x equal to negative 1. Those are our answers. Good job, guys. Now let's move on to something a bit more difficult. What if the numbers in the question don't factorize? They aren't factorizable. Say it's like x squared plus uh, 7x plus 8 equals 0. Now that's not factorizable. You can't factorize that. It's impossible. So what are we going to do? Whoops. So what are we going to do? So we're going to use a formula. This is the second method. You can use it for any equation, but with those equations that are factorizable, it's much easier to just factorize it. So the formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared negative 4c divided by 2a. That is the formula. If the number here is even, then we can use another formula. What we're going to do is we're going to divide this b. This is a, b, and c, by the way. Just for your information. We're going to divide b by 2. So b divided by 2 is going to be b with a little dot. Plus or minus that's not to the power of 12, by the way. It's just, yeah. C divided by a. So since here it's not divisible by 2, you don't need to use this. So we're going to plug it in. Negative 7 plus or minus. The plus or minus here is basically how in the previous ones you had two different answers, right? So plus or minus will determine the two different answers here. So what's 32 and divided by 2? which is equal to -7 plus or minus square root 17 divided by 2. So now if you plug this answer into here, you are going to get 0. Either of these answers, plus or minus, depends. Those are the two answers. You will get 0. I'm not bothered to test it. So that's how you. And if this is positive, even, then you can use the other formula because it's just less steps, which is because the squared part will cancel out, whatever. So, good job for getting this far, guys. Now you know how to solve a quadratic. I suppose you don't want an example of this because no one's watching.